Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and, of course, reviews on a daily basis. It's Monday, and you know what that means. It's Mailbag Monday, where we answer your questions. And firstly, let me just start the show off by thanking you guys, because we had the record amount of questions submitted today by quite a bit. You guys went crazy on our Instagram poll, so thank you to everybody who submitted a question. We've picked a few of our favorite ones, a few of the ones which we think we can, talk about on today's show. But before we get into those, let me introduce who's joining me on the show today. Firstly, the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. How are things, Clark?
I'm doing well. What's going on, Ben? I mean, monster shout out to the listeners for this one. This is like Blue's Clues, right? You get mail every week. We got tons of mail this week. Love it. Love the questions. Keep that up. We'll keep answering them. Stoked to be here as usual, Ben. And let's get right into it. I mean, we're pre-Raw. We got a lot going on this week. I'm excited to talk some wrestling today.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun show. And also joining us, we have Bret Sternberg. How are you today, Bret?
Doing fantastic. Hope everyone's having a great week so far, even though it's Monday. Let's get things going. Thank you to the listeners who sent in all these questions. I'm happy to answer them with the team. Let's get into it.
Absolutely. And before we start, I want to go on a quick tangent, right? As some of you guys know, I'm in university. I'm currently going into my third and final year in university. And I don't know if anybody else feels this way, or if it is just, me, being autistic myself, if it's a me thing, right? But on this podcast, for example, I can talk about professional wrestling all day long. I can talk about it easily, like I seem very talkative or whatever. I go into university, and I'm literally there, just silent. I'm like, should I talk to that person? I don't know. And I just end up not talking to them. And I'm like, I was just sitting there today thinking to myself, and it's never really dawned on me before. I was like, I'm almost a different person to when I'm on the podcast. It is absolutely crazy how, I can just talk on here. I can talk to anybody, like even go into wrestling events. I can talk to people about wrestling all day long. But then when it comes to like going into uni and just talking to random people, I just can't do it. It's weird. It really is. It really is weird. I mean, I don't know, like Clark, have you ever experienced the same thing?
I totally hear you. It's funny. I mean, those that know me know it's really hard to shut me up.
That's true.
But if I'm going to be quiet, it's on probably the first day of a job or of school or something like that. I hear where you're coming from. I always just focus on what's your name and where are you from. Generally forget their name and remember where they're from. I'm like, oh yeah, the kid from blank I met today, real nice, and had a convo. But yeah, no, first day back at school, first day at a job, first day of anything is always a bit awkward. So I can totally relate to that one.
Yeah, and
like, go on, Bret.
Yeah, me personally, people think I have RBF. So whenever I'm in public, they just assume that I'm always in a bad mood or something's going on. And it's not the case. I'm a huge teddy bear. I promise. I promise.
Oh, it is funny. Like I was wearing the Wrestling Republic shirt hoodie today. I was repping the brand in university, and a part of me was just saying, please say somebody just comes up to me and goes, oh, are you a wrestling fan? And then just so I can talk about that. But unfortunately, not today. One day, I'll be walking wearing the Wrestling Republic hoodie, and somebody will come up to me. in uni, or maybe out of the thousands of people there, I'm the only wrestling fan. I mean, that wouldn't be a good look for the
We got
business.
60,000 followers. One of them's got to be Asia Uni.
No, I don't even mean our followers. I'm talking about wrestling fans. He's the word
No, I know.
wrestling. It's like, oh, great, comes up to us. But we got a comment here from Eric Novak. Hello, Eric Novak. Welcome to this show, and let's get straight into things. Let's go to your questions, and the first one is submitted by Melissa Robinson. Shout out, Melissa. And Melissa is asking, are the ROH champions better than the AEW champions currently? And this is actually quite fascinating. Because, I mean, the ROH champions are pretty much currently all AEW stars. I know the two promotions kind of intertwine and all of that, but Ring of Honor TV, admittedly, I don't watch it every week, but I can't imagine these guys are wrestling on Ring of Honor TV every week as well, right? The TV aspect of Ring of Honor seems to be becoming less and less important. And maybe they've just decided, well, hey, the pay-per-views are more important, so let's put them on AEW stars who have nothing to do right now, and let's hope the pay-per-views sell, and then the TV show can do whatever. I know Athena is doing great stuff with Billy Starks on Ring of Honor TV, so I know Athena's doing great stuff there. That's actually, you know, a lot of people have told me to check out Ring of Honor TV because of that. But I mean, no way are the Young Bucks and Hangman Page appearing on Ring of Honor TV every week. But to answer the specific question, are they currently, you know, more stacked than the AEW champions? I mean, I'll quickly just get the two up. The two up to compare. I mean, of course, currently the AEW champion is MJF. The TNT champion is now Christian Cage. The international champion is Rey Fenix. The tag team champions are FTR, and then the trios champions are, of course, the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. I mean, that's a pretty good lineup of champions. Not gonna lie, I'm not gonna complain about it personally. But yeah, you look at the Ring of Honor champions, then you've got Eddie Kingston as the World. You've got Shibata as the TV. You've got the Young Bucks and Hangman Page as the trios champions. And then as the tag team champions, you've got MJF and Adam Cole. I mean, I'd say they're about the same level. I would do. But I think the bigger question here is, you know, why? Why all the champions in Ring of Honor currently AEW stars? Clark, do you have any clarity on this?
I mean, taking the titles and putting them on MJF and Cole makes perfect sense. I have no problem with that. And utilizing the ROH titles for that, I don't think it's necessarily across the board. We talked about like what the ROH championship scene looks like, you know, and or the AEW one does. ROH, Eddie Kingston is kind of crossover, right? Claudio's kind of crossover. I'm cool with that. As far as are they better than the AEW champions right now? Well, I mean, if you ask them, they're better than everyone. They're better than you, baby. And we know that, right? The double clothesline is as over as anything. And right this second, stock-wise, they feel slightly more important. Not necessarily the titles, but the people holding them than FTR. FTR is still, in my eyes, top 2 tag team, top 3 tag team on the planet. They still hold the AEW World Tag Team titles. I don't have an issue with it, but it is a very interesting question to dissect, right? I mean, you can really go either way. It depends on your preference. If we're talking pure tag team wrestling, it's FTR with the work that they've put in over years. This flash in the pan, small current run out of Better Than You, baby. Well, right this second, the steam is still hot. It's still fun. All of the segments are still fun. Roddy's involved. A lot of people are involved in that story. And from a story perspective, I'm not sure that FTR has a great story beyond being the best bell-to-bell tag team in wrestling currently, right? If they're in a rivalry with the Bucks that they're building back towards, if they're in a rivalry with the Lucha Bros, any other tag team, then yes, my opinion would be different. But right this very second, if I have to answer that question, the answer is yeah, the ROH champions are currently slightly more important than the AEW champions. And that's a testament to MJF and Adam Cole's charisma and ability to get over, because they did.
I mean, I'm gonna sound like Ignacio slightly here. I do like MJF and Adam Cole together. I'm not complaining about it one bit. It's over. It really is. But to me personally, their matches aren't near the standard as a tag team. I mean, this is controversial. I'm not a big fan of MJF and Adam Cole's matches as a tag team. Individually, I love their matches, but as a tag team, like the Kangaroo, it's over. I'm not complaining about it because it's over. Just for my personal preference, right? It's a little much. Whereas FTR are perfect for me. I love them.
I
As
think it
a
does show
tag team,
range though out of both Cole and Max that they
Oh,
can do
absolutely.
both.
Oh, don't get me. I'm a big fan of both men. I think they've done terrific, and I also don't blame AEW for pushing them the way they are because they are the most over thing in the company, right?
Right.
As I said, not for me personally, but look, how many people is it for? A lot. So I'm not hating on them for that. I'll never hate on a promotion for doing something when it's working, right? But Bobby Petito, shout out Bobby.
Yes,
It's correcting
Bobby.
me here. I made a big mistake. Because Shibata, of course, is the Ring of Honor Pure Champion, while Samoa Joe...
Not an AEW star.
Samoa Joe... I said that Shibata, but I called him the TV champion. He's the Pure Champion, while Samoa Joe is the TV champion, which actually makes the ROH list a little bit more... a little bit more stacked. What do you think, Brett? Do you think the ROH list of champions is currently slightly better than the AEW list?
I definitely do. I think that ROH has been around a lot longer. I know they have been around a lot longer than AEW, and I think their belts kind of hold a little more value to wrestling fans who have been paying attention to the product, who know the product for several years or past time. AEW is the new kid on the block right now. So those championships or the people holding them are very new. People might not be, they might not acknowledge them as much as they do the ROH belts. Now, the people holding them is a completely different story. I do believe that ROH has a way better lineup of champions right now than AEW, but to Clark's point, FTR is the second best or the best tag team in the world right now or ever. So I definitely believe that there are still things that in AEW that are kind of holding weight with those belts, but I definitely believe that ROH is doing the job right now. And I think that Tony Khan's entire point by doing this is for us as the fans to be like, wait, what's going on in ROH, and to tune in. So that's why I believe that this is going on right now. I think that he's conjuring something up with ROH. So maybe there is a TV deal coming, or maybe there is something amongst streaming platforms that's coming that he wants us to pay more attention to and get more people into. So maybe that's why it's been on TV more. So yeah, I do think the ROH champions are better than the AEW champions right now, but there's a lot of aspects that go into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would agree with your point about, perhaps they've got a TV deal upcoming, or they're trying to get, even if it's just they're trying to get more eyes on the show, I'd agree with it. But the one reason why I disagree is that none of these guys are wrestling on Ring of Honor TV. Like, none of them are having matches on ROH TV. That wrestling on pay-per-views, but not on TV.
But the titles are valuable. And so, to your point, I hear where you're coming from.
But it's not on
Dominic
the TV
is not
show.
on NXT every single week, right? But think about the value of the North American title when he shows up on Raw carrying it. And it makes that title more valuable. It's something that's utilized often in wrestling, especially if you're a promotion with the depth of the WWE or AEW, right? And so while they may not be appearing on ROH TV every week, it's elevating the ROH titles. It's clear we're talking about them on this show. We very rarely talk about ROH. And so I would be, to your point, I hear where you're coming from on, it'd be nice to get MJF and Adam Cole on ROH in a perfect world. But if someone else is carrying the titles, are they elevated to the level they are right now? Probably not. And the visibility and exposure to put eyes on the actual ROH product, I think, is kind of the end game in this scenario.
If you tune in
to Clark's point really quick, Ben, I'm sorry to cut you off. I still do think that there's a possibility of some of these guys showing up on ROH TV. I don't think that it's out of bounds right now. I think that it'll attract people immediately, and then those people will go ahead and follow the product to wherever it does go. So
But here's the thing: you watch okay, let's say this. Right, I understand your point, but let's say you watch this, you see on Dynamite, all these Ring of Honor champions. Well, let me go and watch Ring of Honor, and then they're just half the card squash matches. The other half is feuds which
See,
are
Ben, that
minimal,
seems like more of
and
an
then there's the
indictment on the
women's title
booking of
storyline, which is
ROH
good.
itself. Because the theory would be, if somebody in that scenario goes, let me go watch ROH because of the titles, that they would fall in love with other characters on that card and decide to continue to watch. So I hear where you're coming from. That sounds more like an indictment, though, on ROH's booking, as
Oh, it
opposed
is.
to the
It
booking of
is.
the ROH belts outside of ROH, which, right? But I feel like those are two separate deals here, because yes, there's a logical complaint to be had if you go watch the show. But if you go watch the show and all of a sudden you fall in love with Vincent and what all them are doing, right? Like Brian Cage or the Embassy, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, if you haven't watched it before and you go, maybe I should check out ROH, look at these champions. I mean, that's just more eyes on your product. And
That's true.
it's hard to build ROH outside of ROH, except they're
It's
kind
hard
of
to
doing it.
build.
And to me, it's odd that we're complaining about it, right?
It's hard to build a brand though when when most of the belts aren't on the shows. Like it's not like it's one belt.
Oh, ask
Like
SmackDown
it's like
about Roman Reigns.
No, but that's one belt. That's one belt. They've got the tag belts. They've got the
When's
women's
the last
belts.
time that the
Ring of
United
Honor
States was
just has the
defended?
women's belt
United States
right now.
Championship. When's the last time it was defended?
It's been on the show every week. That's not
Ray just had a tag match
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's on the show every week.
every week. What do you mean? He had a tag match
But
with
the
LWO.
title, the champion with the title is on
Carried
the
it
show
onto
every
the
week.
show.
Yeah, which, by the way, does have an impact when you see a champion come out and showcase the belt and telling a story on TV. They've been telling the story on TV between Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar for
So
weeks.
if you have a nationally televised show and then one on a streaming service that you have to pay for, ROH, wouldn't the most eyeballs you could possibly put on your Ring of Honor belts be on your nationally televised show?
I wouldn't disagree, but if that's the case, then you can't be doing a 2-hour weekly show called Ring of Honor, and try and get people to watch it when, let's be honest, outside of Athena, there's nothing of value.
This would be the question then. How would you get people to try to watch it other than advertising it for free by having your world champion carry one of the belts on your nationally televised Turner?
One of the
product.
belts, I'd agree with completely.
That's one of the belts.
But it's all of the belts
apart
Shibata.
Shibata.
Apart from Shibata. That's what I was about to say. Apart from Shibata, all of them.
Every single one. Well,
Yeah.
wait, who are the ROH Trios champs?
Hangman Page and the Young Bucks.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, no, they might not be.
That just happened this past week.
Although,
This is my point.
although, what if they do?
I think something's brewing. I really do
Maybe.
think something's brewing, and that's why these champions are becoming ROH champions now, all of a sudden within the past month, literally. So let's see what happens, and I think it's going to be good for us no matter what. We're going to get more wrestling on a platform of some sort. So
yeah, no, I agree with you, Brett. That is a great perspective. But now let's move on because we could talk about this all day. I assume we could. But now let's talk about. Yeah, it really is. Shout out Melissa Robinson. But now let's go on and let's talk about Rick Boogs, who of course was released. Well, he's gone full conspiracy theorist. Well, apart from it pretty much is it's likely true, I think. But he took to Twitter and he said, "Let me tell you, it's been an interesting time in my life with my job in WWE being terminated due to a backstage power play. At least that's my opinion of it." He then later went to say in a YouTube channel that Vince being basically being fired from WWE, leaving WWE, taking a leave of absence as it was. That's what killed him when Triple H came and took the buck. Now, I'm going to be honest here, I don't think many people can disagree with that. Like, I think that probably, is, Triple H clearly doesn't see that in him, whatever, right? But the way he's making this sound, he's making it sound like he's some big victim here. Like, that's obvious. Like, when Vince is in charge, Triple H's guys, get screwed. When Triple H is in charge, Vince's guys will inevitably not be booked as well. Like, you can't book everyone perfectly, and different people have different opinions. It's like a new coach when you take over a sports team. Certain players get dropped. And, Rick Boogs, I found him thoroughly entertaining, but it's not like he was, the star attraction of a show here. I honestly think this, I honestly think these comments are actually going to harm him more than, I think he's burning bridges that he doesn't really need to burn. Clark, give me your take on this one.
I don't get it. I mean, I'm a huge Rick Boogs fan too. But why did he say what he said? Is this really the time where you want to put your hat on? Vince McMahon believed in me, but Triple H didn't. That's his son-in-law, and Vince is Triple H's boss. I mean, if Vince really believed in you that much, wouldn't he logically be like, "Hey, son-in-law, no, push Rick Boogs"? Yeah, he did all the third-party commercials. Yes, he was wildly charismatic. Coming out and saying this stuff, I would love to hear from him himself. Rick Boogs, if you want to come on the daily, please. I'm begging, because I want to know the scoop on this, but I don't get the hanging your hat on Vince McMahon. Like, really? I mean, Vince pushed Theory too. He didn't get cut. I'm just confused personally by the comments, because I thought Rick Boogs was wildly entertaining and would jump right back on his feet. And like you said, he sounded like he had this kind of almost victim mentality where it's like, but I did all this. It's like, wait a minute. You got big as the guy that played Nakamura to the ring and then kind of took off. In ring, he was great. What else do we see besides that? And for that to all be placed in a Vince versus Triple H court? Like, what? I'm pretty sure Triple H wouldn't be in the position he's in if Vince didn't trust his opinion. So those are discussions that are happening without Rick Boogs. Between Vince McMahon and his son-in-law, right? Given the job structure and whatnot. And that's where I'm so thrown. Is like, in what way? Who did this to you? Like, you're telling me Triple H was like, yeah, I like everybody but Boogs? I don't see that at all. I don't get it.
Neither do I. I think Rick Boogs is currently why on earth's the camera not changing for me? There we are. Is my mouse okay? Yeah, I just seemingly doesn't like the camera. There we are.
All good.
Okay, we're good now. Oh no. Production, eh? But no, I do agree with you, Clark. I don't know what's up. I don't think he's helping himself with these comments. I really don't. I feel bad for the guy about getting fired. I really do. But let's hope he finds success outside. I don't think these comments are going to help that. But now let's move on and let's talk about somebody else who got fired. And of course, that was the veteran, Dolph Ziggler. And this question is submitted by @Brian Dengler Jr. On Instagram, who is saying, who should fill the veteran role which Dolph Ziggler previously filled now that Dolph Ziggler has been released from the company? Brett, give me your thoughts on this one. Who should fill Dolph Ziggler's shoes?
There's a few answers I have for you right here. I feel like that people have come back recently to almost help nurture the younger generation as well. So people like Cena, I think, has come back to maybe give this might be his last run, who knows? But I think that Cena has come back and is doing a great job helping with the younger generation and younger talent. I think that Mysterio is doing the same exact thing. I also think that who else? Orton is now coming out of the shadows and doing the same exact thing. I also believe that The Miz is someone who is doing probably an amazing job backstage. He's a great actor. He's a great wrestler. And I think that he's already been doing it. I just believe that this is something that he's more stepping up now and being the leader in the locker room. And I do believe that he's filling that role right now immediately. I do believe that Dolph Ziggler had a big voice, but I do believe that The Miz could be a bigger voice in the locker room going down the line. We'll see, though.
Yeah, I do think you made a great point there with the Miz. And I mean Bobby Petito in the comments is saying Sheamus. That's another
Oof.
that's another one
That
too.
is
I mean,
also someone,
the
yes.
Miz and Sheamus together, I think doing that role would be absolutely uh perfect. But we've also got a comment as well agreeing from Jamal. Shout out Jamal. And he's also saying he couldn't agree more with you, Brett, on that one. But now let's move on and let's answer a question from at the Kingslayer.10 on Instagram, who is asking, will Finn Balor become the WWE champion once again? Of course, we all know what happened. He got called up to the main roster. He won a tournament to face Seth Rollins at SummerSlam for the inaugural Universal Championship, and he won it, only to have to vacate it 24 hours later due to injury. Everybody was so hyped for him to come back, but he came back, and they just didn't seem interested in pushing him anymore. He kind of got pushed to the mid card, and it seemed like his chance was over. Now, every time he gets in a world title feud, it's the same story. Can he finally do it? And every time he fails, I really, really would have liked him to beat Rollins for that championship. I really would have liked it, even if it was just for Damian Priest to cash in like a minute later at Money in the Bank. I thought that, or even at SummerSlam. I thought that was the move. Obviously, they didn't do that. And I understand why they don't want a hot potato, the new title. I understand it, but I feel for Finn Balor, man. I really, really do. Clark, give me your take on this.
Well, I promise you I wouldn't just say nope, so I'm going to say it 5 times. Nope, 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 nope. No. He's not gonna. No, no, no. He's the 4th most important person in a faction he replaced a Hall of Famer as the leader of. At this point, right? He's got the throwaway tag. You want to talk about making tag team titles look silly? What is the point of him carrying a tag team title? At least you had something with Sammy and Kevin and the Usos, and I don't get it for the life of me. It doesn't make sense. I get it. The Judgment Day's over. Ripley's done a great job. Priest has done a great job. I would argue that even Dom has slightly elevated himself above when I trashed him last time, but he's still the mullet kid that has to go down to NXT to win. And then you've got, on top of that, Finn Balor, world-class talent, pushed wearing a washcloth out of his back pocket. And, the demon's dead. I don't see a route back to the world title picture that's relevant for Finn Balor, at least not anytime in the near future. And that sucks because I think he's a world-class talent. I think he's one of the best bell wrestlers in all of WWE. A change of scenery would be huge for Finn Balor. And that'd be the only way I could see it as a possibility.
That was a bit of a compliment sandwich. You completely and utterly buried the guy, and then was like, "Yeah, he's a world-class athlete. I hope he does." But
it's not his fault.
I agree. He's in the situation where he's kind of looked like the weakest in Judgment Day. He's the tag team champions right now. I'm enjoying the storyline, and it's a. I mean, they won it in a great match, and it's not exactly like Kevin and Sammy were doing much with it. Like, I don't hate it. They've been together for a year. They're not random.
Kevin and Sammy were very entertaining as tag champs backstage.
I'm not burying them, but the Judgment Day have done about as much as they did with the titles, and they've had less time.
The Judgment Day was carrying the rest of them.
In the bloodline. But
I just think Finn needs to go away for a little bit and then come back, like a little bit, meaning like half a year or a year, or maybe somewhere else.
On, though.
He needs to get away from this Judgment Day thing.
Yes, he needs to like disappear and then come back, and then people need to realize who he was. That's all it is. And then I can see him getting a title.
I want to quickly check this. How old is Sheamus?
Old enough to drink.
Age. Because Sheamus is currently 45.
45.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Whereas Finn Balor, I don't think Finn Balor's much off him. Finn Balor is, well, that's just great. I don't you love it when they don't age 42. So Finn Balor's actually 3 years younger than Sheamus, but still.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know like how long we're going to see Finn Balor for. I reckon in WWE at the top of the card, he's got maybe 3 years left.
Could this be the biggest fumble by WWE with a superstar?
I would say. Since the Universal title, I would say yes. It's up there.
He came in with the most potential.
It's up there.
He was selling a lot of merch at the start.
No, from New Japan.
And even AJ too, but AJ got his runs.
But
So by
Balor
comparison
came
to that,
in older as well. Like not older than Styles, to be fair. Not older than Styles.
ageism.
But if you say ageism, but it's a good point.
I'm
like
joking with you. I'm totally joking with you,
I know. But the reason why I make these age comments where you should only give a title to somebody over the first title to somebody who's been recently called up over the age of 35, that should be a real rarity, is because you can barely make money off them by the time that they're retired. You can make exceptions. LA Knight should be an exception now. He's too over to not be an exception. AJ Styles was an exception. Exceptions can be. I mean, DDP was, the one that everyone uses, and he was only
Sheamus 45 now. I mean, Edge is 49 and still selling merch.
Yeah, but no, but Clark, that's not the point. They were in WWE when they were younger, so they were able to be marketed for years and years and years. So when they're in the positions in 45, whatever,
I disagree with that though, because
money.
So AJ Styles, who came into WWE well after his prime, well after all of this stuff, still sold merch. So self-marketing matters.
That's why I just said
the machine. If you're there, right? There are exceptions
to be made, yeah,
for sure. But I mean, Finn would be one of them. Finn did a better job as Fergal Devitt, which is the most ridiculous name you've ever heard in professional wrestling.
It was Prince Devitt. It was Prince Devitt.
Prince Devitt. Thank you. Over in Japan, right? Though, and he's huge. Self-marketing to a smaller audience. And then the WWE marketing machine
co-creator
took him and put they put him in a dryer and shrunk him like a shirt. Like they just they just put him in the dryer
like a shirt.
They just shrunk him.
That's a great one.
Like
I'm a big Finn Balor guy. You know me. I mean, Finn Balor wrestled in my local promotion, the promotion which I trained with for a bit. Like, I mean, I'm a Finn Balor guy. I really, really am. But they can only choose a few guys. I do think Finn Balor should have been. I really do think Finn Balor should have been world champion. I think they fumbled the bag with him. Is it their biggest fumble in recent years? I wouldn't say so. I think there are others. But let's quickly head to the comments. We'll get into that another day because we've got tons of comments. Numero 1 Superfly is saying, I could see Finn Balor winning the world title, but only if Damien Priest wins it first.
Please, no.
Crisp Imaging, aka Carter Crisp, aka Carty Cornette, sorry, is saying Balor versus Nakamura, heavyweight championship. I mean, he is really playing a lot of GM mode at the minute.
It's not 2K23. Yeah, what are you doing?
To his head. It's getting to his head at this point.
Matt Williams has apparently been released from WWE, saying in the comment section. I mean, there's something new with you.
Oh man, best of luck in your future endeavors, Matt.
Let's now move on and let's talk about Money in the Bank. We've just talked a little bit about Judgment Day. Let's talk a bit more because, of course, Damien Priest is currently the Money in the Bank holder. Well, at TikTokin O'Clock, hell of a username, on Instagram, is saying, when should Money in the Bank be cashed in? Brett, I'm sending this to you. Who should Damien Priest cash in on? Should he be successful? And when should it be?
Well, you answered the question I was just going to answer for you briefly. I don't think Damien Priest is going to win either way, so it doesn't matter. So does it? I don't think it's going to be anytime before WrestleMania. And if it is, it'll be like a Monday night after Royal Rumble or something along those lines where we see a quick kind of loss, but it's going to be caused by, we said it just before, Finn or someone in the Judgment Day, and it's going to break the entire thing up. But I do not think he should be successful. I don't think that he's ready for a title, and I know that sounds bad, but I just think he needs a little more nurturing when it comes to being a big name in WWE, because I don't believe that he would be a valuable superstar to be the champion right now with everyone who's in the picture in the fold. I'm talking The Rock, Roman, Cena now. There's everyone. You got Orton coming back. There's tremendous amounts of people that I could see having the belt way before him. I just see it being like a little speed bump in the road for whatever storyline's going on. I do see him cashing in on Roman whenever he's down, and then somehow creating a storyline where The Rock is inputted to help Roman as a part of the bloodline, or maybe Jay or Jimmy, they mend their relationship to help Roman. But I don't think it's going to be on anyone else besides Roman, but I could see it also being on Seth Rollins as well, now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely possible. I mean, you said you don't think he's ready for it. For me personally, it's now or never. Because he's older than LA Knight. So I really, he's 41 tomorrow. It's happy birthday tomorrow, Damian Priest. But I
He's-
mean,
Really?
yeah,
but he changed his body type, and I would say that I think
No, I do think he could.
we
go
get
quite a
concerned
few
about
more
being in
years.
your 40s, right? If you look at
No,
him
I
as
think
Punisher
with his style, he
Martinez,
could.
yeah, especially given that he was overweight, to say like the least. I think he'd be the first to admit that too, and I'm not doing that as a knock, but
Yeah,
Priest changing his body, right? It lengthened his career in a way that's unique to a guy
that's
that
true.
worked differently than that, right? And he was able to adjust his style and able to change his look and do all of that, which is such an incredible accomplishment. I do think that almost gives you like a extra room years wise, because his health is intact
That's
because
very
of the way he's taking care of himself, which is impressive to say the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I do agree with that point. And me personally, I'd like to see him cash in on the World Championship and succeed. Or I think I can understand the argument of him not being ready. I really can, but because we have another champion, and the other champion is Roman Reigns, who's, I mean, the biggest draw of this era in professional wrestling, right? In terms of this era now, people keep saying John Cena's this era, he's last era, right? That this is a new era. Roman Reigns is the face of this era. Yeah, I think he could hold the world championship fine, because he's been in the picture with Bad Bunny. He's in multiple viral clips with the Judgment Day. I think he could have a short reign with the world championship. But now let's move on, and let's answer the final question of the day, which is from at EC_324 on Instagram, who is asking, who is one superstar from right now, this moment in time, who would do well in the Attitude Era? I presume this means WWE stars, and for the sake of this conversation, to simplify it, let's talk WWE stars.
Oh,
But the one that I want to talk about firstly is the answer which I know everybody's gonna give, and that's LA Knight. Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm LA Knight. I think he's great. I really do.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't think he would have done well in the Attitude Era, because all his thing is based on inspiration from then. And I think if you chucked him in with everybody from the Attitude Era, you chucked him in with Stone Cold, with The Rock, I think he would have looked generic as anything, right? Because everything that he was doing, it's kind of just the same old thing. So I really don't think he would succeed in the Attitude Era at all. We got Bailey in the comments saying it's got to be LA Knight, surely. Yeah, I mean, no. It's a hard no. Brett, what about you? What one superstar from WWE right now do you think could have succeeded in the Attitude Era?
Yeah. LA Knight. I really don't have another answer for you right now. I just believe LA Knight. Next question.
I mean, there isn't. That was the last question. But I mean,
that was a figure of speech.
But and I really don't. I really think that he would have just been too generic if you chucked him in there.
Since that was a short point, I gotta put. Since you said no AEW, I'm gonna say an AEW guy. MJF would do absolutely incredible.
He would have been too small for the Attitude Era.
Nope.
No, what? You think?
No.
Okay, how tall is Flair?
MJF's height.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
They're both 240. He's a linebacker, dude. He's a 6-foot linebacker.
Telling you, MJF would do amazing in the Attitude Era.
And by the way, if you try to 6'1", if you try to 6 foot me on this, Ben, when you fact check this, I'm not gonna accept it. I hope you know that. So if it is 1 inch, just don't say anything.
Ric Flair's 6'1".
Yeah, 6 foot.
MJF, I swear, is
6 feet tall.
MJF's 5'9".
No. Okay, but he wears the platform boots, so he's okay. Don't worry.
He's billed himself as 5'11", but he's shorter than Chris Jericho, and Chris Jericho said he's actually 5'8".
I
No,
still think his mouth would have been able to get him
6 feet.
very far in
I'm
the
not
Attitude
buying
Era.
it. Yeah, and
I mean,
Kane's
here's the
not
thing: Chris Jericho
7
did get
foot
over.
either.
MJF could have done it, but he would have had to have gone a different route. He would have had to have probably, gone the cruiserweight route in WCW and then, into it. But I do agree that MJF, I think, somebody who
Tune in
absolutely
immediately
could have.
following this for the height debate amongst the Wrestling Republic staff.
Height matters and age matters. I'm joking. I
Height
actually,
matters.
I don't think it does. Even.
Height
But
matters
back
for
then,
roller
it
coasters and
did a lot of the
basketball.
time. But Clark, what about you? I mean, what's one star right now in WWE who you think could have succeeded in the Attitude Era?
Well, besides, LA Knight, obviously
Really,
number
you think
one.
he could have succeeded?
Yes. There's a few that are like really obvious to me. One that got cut, Dolph Ziggler, would have been awesome in the Attitude Era. As an entertainer, he could have done amazing things if booked in the Attitude Era. I think for sure, right? If that still counts, I understand we're trying to stick to WWE, but most recently he was employed by WWE, so I'm going with Dolph. LA Knight is a no-brainer for me. An interesting one that I think would have been outstanding in the Attitude Era, Montez Ford. Montez Ford, with his charisma and athleticism and the way towards the end of the Attitude Era, you add those Eddie Guerreros, you add your Chris Jerichos, you add that division. Montez, with his charisma and ability to work bell to bell and on the mic and adjust and potentially even play a maybe different character than he does now, Ford, I think, would have been unbelievably good in the Attitude Era. Shockingly enough, given the high-flying moveset, enough of that worked in the Attitude Era, people forget. That was another factor, right? They were trying to compete with the WCW Cruiserweights. That's why Ray was brought over. That's why Jericho and Eddie and Malenko were brought over. And Montez Ford's big enough with that type of athleticism. I think Montez Ford would have been very special in the Attitude Era, without question.
That's a fantastic point.
Special shout out really quick, Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be an interesting one.
She would have absolutely crushed it in the Attitude Era. Her against China, that would have been just like amazing, honestly.
It would have, but would they have let them go properly?
I don't think so. I don't think that they would have booked her as strong as she should deserve.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Because they don't. Also, she's against China on steroids, so it's like.
Yeah, but I don't think that dream match is a dream match, but I don't think even in that era we would have gotten that dream match, at least in that way.
No, I don't think they didn't know how to book women properly back then, unfortunately. But now that has changed tremendously. Obviously, we see that, but I don't even think women from that era would last in today's generation. That's a whole other conversation, though.
Yeah, that's another one for another day and a bit. It's a bit hard to, I mean, certain ones maybe, but some of them is hard to compare. Numero 1 Superfly, my guy, is saying if LA Knight was in the Attitude Era, he would have been buried by Austin or Rock for simply just being like them. That's my point. That's my point.
I think he'd have played off Jericho, or mid card wise, he would have been a huge factor. If you're gonna show the next comment, though, I do have.
I mean, Bobby Petito saying Grayson Waller.
No,
he's too skinny. He's not though. I mean, he's too skinny. Shelton Benjamin, great point.
He was in the Attitude Era.
Shelton was close enough. He was Ruthless Aggression Era, but Shelton's an awesome athlete. Shelton had terrible timing with a bunch of stuff. I'm a huge Shelton Benjamin fan, but like in the Attitude Era, that wouldn't have benefited him.
So you consider that being the Ruthless Aggression Era?
Well, factually it is.
Technically it was.
Okay, so
because
then
he was introduced as a part of Team Angle.
Is Brock Ruthless Aggression Era?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so then he would do amazing in Attitude Era.
Now that would be a great call. Brock would have been fine 5 years before, 25 years before, 25 years later. You could stick Brock literally into medieval times and he'd probably be knighted. Like,
oh, he's a Viking. Like, he's literally a Viking.
Yeah, no, that guy could fit into whatever era. It doesn't matter. He's like, if this was the Dark Ages, he'd be riding around on a horse, hitting people with one of those balls with the chain with the spikes on the end. He'd just be swinging that thing on a horse. That's who Brock Lesnar is. Yeah, it doesn't matter what era you stick him in.
I love the Pat McAfee quote where he said that, if aliens came down to Earth, there'd be one man we'd send, and that's Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
But on that note, that brings us to the end of the show, guys. Thank you for watching. It's been a banger. If you're on YouTube, please give us a like, comment, and subscribe. They help us out massively. If you're over on Spotify audio only, please give us a cheeky 5 stars. They help us a lot. Thank you to Brett and thank you to Clark for joining me here today. Tomorrow, we're mixing things up slightly. Oh, there we are.
Did I go the right way?
Yeah. We're mixing things up slightly tomorrow because I'm back in uni now. Clark's got a golf tournament, so Chaos will be hosting. He's back in the hosting chair. And Drizzy and Kobe will be joining him for a Raw review, a very special Raw review. And for such a special show, we need a special start time. So that will be at 9:30 UK, which I believe is 1:30 Pacific and 4:30 Eastern time. So you guys make sure to check that out tomorrow. Just like all of the shows that Chaos hosts, they will be a banger. You can bet on that. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy your night.